Welcome to Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss and discover the challenges and triumphs of those living with NLD, nonverbal learning disability, and other learning challenges such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and any other invisible learning differences that one may live with. And I like to interview individuals as well who live with various learning challenges. So if you know anybody, please point me their way, or if you are that individual, I would love to interview you on various topics. So please let me know. And I welcome you to this podcast. Happy Friday to everybody. So today's topic will be about being a homeowner and being neurodivergent. Many neurodivergents have a hard time being on their own and independent because of it being hard to be independent without help from your family. I work for my parents and have for 4 years, almost 5 years. And I have lived with them for 6 years, so I get it. But I am fortunate to have had help from my family to get my very first place. I'm so excited to have my own home, and I am a partial homeowner of it. I say partial because I only own 5% of it, but that still counts as something, especially when you are neurodiverse and starting out. There's quite a process to buying a home. You have to go to a lot of open house events before you see the right place to put an offer on one. And then you have to be accepted with the author. They also counter offer for the price or time allow for inspection escrow usually. You also have to have the home inspected and also looked at by at least one inspector. You also have to wire the deposit money to the sellers. You need to remove the contingencies during the time given to you. You also have to do repairs if the inspector finds any issues with the place, which I will need it to do in my place and have been doing for the last 2 months. Sorry, more like 3 months because we've had it since August. And it will be worth it because the repairs will be done by the end of the year, and then I can move in actually probably a week before Thanksgiving. And if you're doing a loan, you have to have an appraisal and get approved from the bank as well. Also, make sure that you have a good enough credit score for a loan and paying it back. Also, you want to make sure that the bank believes that you will be able to pay them back in time, and also that you have the interest so that you can pay them. You also have to make sure that you have a good person or company to do the repairs. On top of that, you need to find furniture to fill the rooms and in the style that you want them in. Also, sometimes you need to paint the walls in the place. But after all this is over, usually it's worth it because then you can enjoy it with your friends and family and entertain them in your new place. So I found a nice townhouse in San Diego where I can walk to pretty much any place you would need to do errands or hang out with friends. Grocery stores, pharmacies, restaurants, and movie theaters, and a farmer's market. It also has 2 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, a 2-car garage, and is close enough to my parents where they can still carpool me to work until I have a car again, and also far enough away that it's going to feel like my own place. So Enough about me. Let's hear from some fellow neurodivergents that have had challenges with living on their own. The first article is titled, "For an Adult with Autism Who Couldn't Afford to Buy Their Own Home, What Can They Do?" by Neuro Living on the Autism Spectrum. Quote, "The housing market is terrible for buyers regardless, but for ASD individuals even more so. Many of us are unemployed or underemployed, so that doesn't help either. Some places have programs that assist in housing or community living, but I think oftentimes that is more like assisted living and is not what I personally looking for. I tried getting loans at the bank for a tiny house, but no bank in their right capitalist minds would loan money to someone like me. I ended up buying a school bus. I'm currently renovating it, and my parents have given me a small piece of land to stay next to their house. I'm currently living with them as I renovate, and my dad is helping me build. I actually really like the idea of living in my bus, but the fact is that I wasn't really given much other in the lines of options or opportunities. Frankly, it's by the grace of God that I'm not homeless." Close quote. So that's actually kind of a cool idea to turn a school bus into a house. I wouldn't have thought of doing that, but it's definitely creative, and I hope that works out for that individual. Next article is titled, "Neurodiverse Co-Housing, What is it and why does it matter?" from March 18th of 2016 by Shannon Doughty. Quote, "When I give presentations or consult for emerging housing options, I often hear that individuals with learning disability want to live in a supportive and affordable neighborhood, walking to a friend's home, having regular opportunities for activities, being recognized as a person who contributes to the lives of others, knowing neighbors will watch out for you or be there to help you make life decisions are features of neurodiverse intentional communities. But what if instead of trying to find those communities, you got together with others and planned your own neighborhood? What would it look like? Who else would live there? What space would you want to share with others? What kind of culture feel would you like to have? What type of neighborhood activities would you plan?" People have been joining together to build their own neighborhoods for decades. There are not hippie communes, but rather a group of people from diverse lifestyles and backgrounds creating the neighborhood and community of their dreams. This type of intentional community is called co-housing. In 2011, I attended the National Co-Housing Conference in Washington, D.C. It fascinated me because at that time I was living in an intentional community in the city and could not imagine living in a house with 12 roommates once I was married with children. I learned during this conference that my living situation was just one example of an intentional community. After hearing about all of the different co-housing models across the country, I realized that I could raise a family in our home with privacy while also having the common amenities and relationships that many intentional communities, such wonderful and supportive places to live. There are 161 established co-housing communities across the country. I have visited communities in Colorado, Utah, California, North Carolina, and Maryland. Many of these communities already include families or people with various disabilities. One of the most attractive things about co-housing is that it creates an environmental conducive to supporting and accepting one's neighbors as a close part of your life. Senior co-housing communities are increasingly in popularity for similar reasons. Individuals are choosing to age intentionally supportive communities to prevent isolation, to have natural support systems, and to continue being valued by their community despite age-related changes. And over the past year, I have met groups of individuals interested in creating co-housing communities alongside autistic individuals and neurodiverse families. This is a subtype of co-housing, neurodiverse co-housing. Several neurodiverse co-housing communities have created websites to share their visions. Osprey Village Co-housing Building, Ohana, Someplace Special Co-housing, and Rooster Ranch. At the 2015 National Co-housing Conference, I introduced the concept of neurodiverse co-housing to co-housing supporters on a unique panel with other subtypes of co-housers, including foster families and veterans. I met with autistic co-housing leaders, hosted a breakout session for those interested in learning more about neurodiverse co-housing, and then had the chance to visit a neurodiverse co-housing community called North Street Neighborhood. Close quote. So I think that's a great idea to have co-housing for neurodivergents. It reminds me of when I did the co-ops in college, and I really liked them because I was able to cook my own food and also help cook dinner for everybody with the help of 4 other people. And I had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I did that in 2 different co-ops in college, and one was for 140 people, Cloyne, and HIP was for 60 people, so quite a bit of difference in the amount of people, but it was a lot of fun both places, and it's just a good camaraderie for you to live in that kind of place. So I think that's a good thing. Last article is titled, What Makes a Home Feel Safe for Autistic People by Shannon Des Roches' Rosa, posted on May 12th, 2024. Quote, autistic children and adults often lack access to spaces that make them feel safe or allow them to decompress and be themselves without interference or unwelcome scrutiny. Sometimes a lack of safe spaces is no one's fault, as when living quarters have limited size or privacy, but too often, autistic safety, comfort, and ease are not considered due to a lack of autism understanding or rejected outright due to insistence on complying with non-autistic lifestyle approaches. While ideally all non-autistic people and professionals would understand what makes spaces feel safe for autistic people, the baseline should be that autistic people have at least one space to retreat to their homes. We talked to autistic people from a variety of backgrounds, including autistic parents of autistic and neurodivergent kids, about strategies for making homes feel safe for the autistic people who live in them. Why is it important for the autistic people to have spaces that feel safe? Anonymous CEG. It is important for autistic people to have spaces that feel safe because autistic people process the sensory features of the world differently from neurotypicals. For example, I like wearing lawn sleeves even when it's a sunny day because I like the feeling of my arms being covered. More than that, safe spaces for autistic people are a way of letting them know that their reaction to the world is understood. When you think about a home that feels safe for autistic people, what are the most important elements and why? Anonymous says, when I think of a home that feels safe for autistic people, the 3 elements I think of are 1, a room with enough space for me to stem, 2, floors that are smooth so I can pace. 3, locks on the doors that I can set up at night. What else should everyone who has an autistic what else should everyone who has autistic people in their lives know about creating a home that feels safe? Anonymous CEG says, another thing I would like people to know about creating a home that feels safe is that autistic folks are prone to misplacing objects. I try to combat this by retracing my steps in my room where my shelves and desks are unbothered. So leaving the drawers and cabinets of autistic people alone makes a world of a difference and brings about a greater peace of mind to us. Jenny Ma Fan, putting a sign on doors that lead outside to check all of the things before leaving the house. For example, phone, keys, shoes, notifying a trusted member that where you're going, etc. Having noise canceling headphones or earplugs and sleeping eye masks throughout the house. Having soft, comfortable ice packs at the ready and placing those on the back of the neck to cool down inflammation and regulate the autonomic nervous system. Close quote. So this gives you an idea of different ways that neurodivergents can live on their own, whether it's in co-housing or independently on their own with parents and families' help and friends' help. I hope that you were able to get some lessons out of this episode and that it will help you in turn help a friend or help yourself be able to live on your own. I'm looking forward to doing that and later this month when my townhouse is close to completion of the repairs. So talk to you guys next week. Bye. I hope that episode was well worth it for you to listen to and that you were able to take something away from it, even if you don't have a learning challenge, or if you do. I hope it was extra worthwhile for you so that you are able to learn something and maybe journal and jot down some few takeaways so that the next time you experience that challenge yourself, you're able to learn how to breathe through it more easily, or maybe not have a meltdown or a tantrum, or be able to take away more learning from it and not make the same mistake twice, and be able to also help somebody else go through that experience if you have a friend who has a learning difference and you are neurotypical. So I hope you will be able to have some experiences in your life now that you have listened to this episode.